So today I'm going to be reviewing the Infrari P2 Pro thermal camera. This is a little mini USB Type-C thermal camera, and I'm going to be pitting that against the FLIR One thermal camera. This FLIR One I bought about 2 years ago and it served me great. It worked absolutely fine. I've thrown it across the wall a couple of times because I've had flux in the port and things, but it served me great. It's worked perfectly fine when it does work, you know, when I actually keep the port clean and stuff like that. But Infiray got in touch with me and they asked me if they could send me one of these. It's a little mini thermal camera, and honestly, it's absolutely great, other than the fact that it is very small and pretty easy to lose. I have been using this for a couple of months now, about a month and a half, and honestly, I have to say I am incredibly impressed. So I'm going to be showing you what this can do, the comparison from this to this, and also I'll provide some links on where you can find this as well and my thoughts on it. So first of all, let me just explain what these are. These are portable thermal cameras. You could use them for, you know, plumbing work. You could use them for checking the temperature, you know, seeing if your installation is good on the house, things like that. And you can use them for what I use them for, and that is for PCB repair. So basically, whenever we've got something like a shorted circuit on a PCB, sometimes the easiest and quickest way to find the short is by using a thermal camera and seeing what gets hot. It's a really easy trick to use, and it does save us a lot of time because it's going to show up on a camera if something's drawing excess current and getting too hot. This board here works absolutely fine. I don't have any boards immediately to hand which I can use for a live test, but I've used this plenty of times on videos and I've used it plenty of times on live streams, and I've never had an issue with it. And I'm also going to show you as well today a little hack that you can do with this, which you can connect it to your PC and use it in a way that's not really intended. Stay tuned for that as well. So with that being said, if you don't know me, my name is Dakota and I'm an electronics technician. If that's the sort of stuff you're into, then please be sure to get subscribed and turn on the bell notifications. That way you don't miss any future videos. If you do want to support me, there'll be some links in the video description. Or of course, you could just buy something from one of the affiliate links, such as this Infrari P2 Pro or the FLIR One thermal camera as well. So I'm going to start off by, first of all, powering on this Nintendo Switch. Like I said, it does work absolutely fine. There's nothing at all wrong with it. So what I'll do first is I'll get a charged battery and I'll just show you the actual Switch working. This Nintendo Switch is one that I've repaired, ready for resale on my online store. Got to get the shelf for the online store in there, of course. So this is my test housing. I know the battery's fine. Whoops, didn't mean to rip that cable out though. Never mind. So I know the battery's fine and charged, so we don't need to worry about any of that. And I'll just show you it booting up. So I'm not going to plug anything else in. I'll just show you it working with a display, just so you know. Not that that's absolutely necessary for this video, but there you go. You can see we've got a full battery and this will boot up now and turn on. So the reason I use the charger is because I don't have the power ribbon plugged in. But yeah, that is working absolutely fine. And the reason that I wanted to do that was because I need this console booted up in order to be able to show you the thermal cameras. I don't recommend doing this, but I'm going to disconnect these ribbon cables here, so backlight and LCD. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the FLIR One Type-C camera. So I'll just load up my phone and I'm going to load up the FLIR app on the phone and I'm going to connect this up. And as you can see, it takes forever just to load up. Took a couple of attempts there, but if we take a look at the thermal camera, and I'm going to take some still images of this which I'll put up for comparison later on. I haven't used this thermal camera since I've had this phone, so I do need to just allow the permissions. But as you can see there, yeah, it's a good image. It's going to show me, you know, if there's any short or anything like that. But the problem is with this one is the resolution just isn't great at all. I think you can get some mods that you can add on to this thermal camera, and I think that can make the image a lot better, so you can get a macro lens for it. But other than that, you know, I can zoom in real close, can't really make out the images. And another problem with this thermal camera as well is that the images are not aligned. So the way the thermal camera works, it's got two cameras on it. One's a normal camera and one's the actual infrared camera, the thermal imager, and it joins those two images together to make up the final image. But the problem is it's not really aligned. So if I want to, for example, pinpoint, let's find a small component. So if I want to pinpoint the, let's say the antenna, I can't see it on there at all. I can't see any capacitors, I can't see the antenna. I can see a chip, so I can go roughly to the chip, but as you'll see there, those images are just not aligned at all. So one of them is, but the other one isn't. And I'm on the chip, right? So the images are just not aligned, they're really badly out of sync, and that is a big problem when you're trying to pinpoint it. Because what I would normally have done is had this on some sort of an extension cable, so USB Type-C extension cable, where I can just leave the phone on the desk and then move the thermal camera around and try and pinpoint the images, save my hands being in the way with the phone and stuff like that. I can put it on an angle, but the problem with that again is the images are they're just not aligned and I can't really pinpoint it. So I think I'm on the thermal, on the sorry, let me just try there. I think that I'm on the chip there. I'm nowhere near and I can't really pinpoint it. Let's just have a look at the back. There's lots of small components on the back of the board. So you've got all of these decoupling caps, you've got some capacitors here, you know, filter caps and things like that, inductors. And if, for example, I had a short on this board on that inductor, or on one of the, sorry, not the inductors, on one of the capacitors, I'm not going to be able to pinpoint the exact capacitor. I can get a general idea of where it is, but the image is just too misaligned and too washed out, it's too pixelated to pinpoint, you know, the exact component. And this is a pretty expensive camera. I don't know what they're selling for now, but when I bought it, it was around about 200 British pounds, which is, for, you know, a small business, it's a lot of money. You know, it's not like it's a cheap camera. There you go, that's the image there. Let's just take a still of that. And the thermals are probably pretty close, you know, the actual temperatures. It does give you a readout. It's saying that the board is 42 degrees Celsius. The one thing I do like about this is the retractable port. So you can retract the port on this one, you know, you can bring it in to protect it. And they are nice and pocket sized, but they're easy to find as well. And you can charge it through USB Type-C as well. This one's pretty beaten up now, you know, the rubber's starting to break up and things like that, but I've had this for a few years, so, you know, that's to be expected. That's the FLIR One. I'll leave that off to the side there. But now we come on to the Infrari P2 Pro. It's not a sponsored video, but I did receive this for free in exchange for reviewing it. I'm going to make that clear now. I have not paid for this. But these retail on AliExpress for around about 210 British pounds. Of course, postage and currency conversions, it's going to vary worldwide, but around about 210 British pounds at the time of recording. They have come down a little bit in price in the past couple of weeks. They used to be about 240. But what these come with is a little macro lens, and this is magnetic. The only thing that I don't like about this is I can never find it. So I'm always having to leave it plugged in. It is very, very small. That is the thing that they're going for here. They're going for the, you know, the compact size, but great quality. It does come with a macro lens. And another problem is I keep losing this, so I need to find a way to stop losing this. Maybe find a specific drawer that I can put it in or something like that, because it's quite hot at the minute outside. You know, it's just the start of summer. It was 30 degrees Celsius today in my area, and this overheated, so it shut itself off. So it's got some nice protection in it, and if it gets too hot, it seems like it does shut itself off. I loaded up the app earlier on to get some thermal footprints of this board to send to a friend of mine, Computer Booter. Highly recommend checking him out, by the way. He's on YouTube. I'll leave a link to his channel. But I wanted some thermal footprints, and when I went to use this, because it was plugged in, it wouldn't load up, and I was like, what's going on? And then I unplugged it and plugged it back in, and it came on. So I'm assuming that was because of temperature, because it's never done that before, but it is getting hotter by the day as we get closer towards, you know, the prime of summer, the peak of summer. So I'm assuming it's got some sort of good protection on it, but I can't say for sure. I haven't opened this up or anything like that. I'm not going to do a teardown of it. I'm not going to risk breaking this. It's pretty expensive, and I don't think the company will send me another one if I do break it trying to tear it down. So yeah, I'm not going to do a teardown of this. I don't want to risk damaging it because it is a very, very good camera. And I'm not just saying that because I've been giving it for free. I'm saying that because I genuinely believe it. My opinion can't be bought. It can't be paid for. And if I like something, I'll say and I'll shill it. But if I don't, then I will make it clear. And this, honestly, is a fantastic camera for the price. And let me show you why. So if I just load up if I just plug it in rather. So I'm going to plug it into USB Type-C. I might need to take I've got to take my case off for this. So that's the only problem, is I would have to take my case off. But at the same time, I don't normally use a thermal camera with it plugged into the phone like this. I normally use a thermal camera with an extension cable because I don't want to have to hold my phone. But with this one, like I said, and there you go, I didn't even need to load that up, it's just loaded straight up. But like I said, I don't want to have to hold my phone to be able to get a view of it, but I don't use the phone for it anyway because I have worked out how to get it to work on the PC. It's not going to be supported by the manufacturer, but hopefully they will make that a feature in the future. But as you can see here, and I'll take some images here, so we can change the palette on this, we can change the colour palette. I'm going to try and get a similar colour palette if I can, but you can have, various different colour palettes on this. You can switch between the colour palettes that you want. You can go, I think, white for hot. You can go for your standard red for hot. You can change the colours, green, red, whatever. I don't generally use them. I'll just use this one. I am red. That's what they're calling it. But already you can see that is a much clearer image, even without the macro lens. So let's just take a photo of that. I haven't used it on the app yet because the first thing I did was try and hack it to get it to work on the PC. So I haven't actually used the app properly. I've tested it, but that's about it. But yeah, as you can see there, that already is a much clearer image. I mean, look at that. That's just unbelievably clear. If we go to this side, again, you can see absolutely everything on this. Take a picture of that. There we go. The one thing I do like is the fact that I can pretty much pinpoint the location of components. So now the phone is obscuring my view the same as it was with the FLIR camera. But if I want to pinpoint this picture here, I do need to... I just needed to get my bearings. Hang on, no, I wasn't nowhere near. I was touching the... I was trying to touch that. So there is the chip. And that's right on the chip. I'm not able to see this, by the way. M92. Yeah, pinpoint that straight away. So already you can very visibly see that there's an improvement over the FLIR on this, but it gets better. It really does get better. If you want to see something close up, for example, a really small capacitor, let's flip this round to the other side so as we can have an area that's a lot more densely populated. Let's stick the macro lens on. This is what I love. This is honestly amazing. So let's just let this refocus itself. But you can see this is blurred with the macro lens right now. However, if we move in real close, we can see individual components. We can actually see individual components. Let's just get my tweezers. Bear in mind, let me just flip this round actually because I'm left-handed. So bear in mind that I was struggling on the other thermal camera to even pick out quite a large chip in the micro soldering world. Let's see if I can pick out an actual capacitor here. So we're getting closer. There's the clock chip, look. Right there, I was right on it. Let's pick out an individual cap. I've got to get in pretty close here. Because I've got the macro lens on, I've got to get in fairly close. I keep slipping off it. Yeah, I'm right on a cap there. I am right on a cap there, and I'm recording this in 4K, so I can zoom this and things. But yeah, as you can see, I can pinpoint individual components with the macro lens. I can see very easily if a component's getting warm. And check this out. I better not twist this much, but check this out. Let's take one with the macro lens and zoom in on some individual components. I'm not very good at review videos, by the way. I don't do review videos normally. There we go. Beautiful. So, there's some pictures, but check this out. With the macro lens on, and this is what I really do love about this. With the macro lens on, we've got some writing here. And that's a bit out of focus, but we've got some writing here on the actual board, right? We can actually read text because the cameras are very, very well aligned. The two, if it is a dual camera, I don't know how this one works, but if it is a dual camera, it's incredibly well aligned, and that is unbelievable. Let's just take a photo of that for reference. And if you want to look at individual components, you know, you can very visibly see the chip. The chip is very distinguished, as well as all of the capacitors and resistors. HID CPU01, very clearly see that there. And you can also see when something's a reflection as well, as opposed to actual heat spots. So you can very clearly see that. You can't work that out on a FLIR One. So although I did love this camera, yeah, this is second best now. I've just cheated on this camera. We've got something else to show as well. So what I've got here, just off to the side, is a USB extension. This is what I would have normally used on my phone. Let me just put that back in the case before I end up breaking a £1,500 phone, or whatever these cost these days. It's an S23 Ultra. But if we plug that in there, that should have come up on the, well, it should have come up on the system sounds, and you'll hear that's been detected. So that's now been detected as a USB camera. Let's switch over to my desktop and I'll show you. So on my desktop, what we can do is, because this is detecting as a USB camera, we can use this as a normal camera. The only problem with that is I've got it loaded up on OBS as a source at the minute, because I do use it. So while I've got OBS running, the Windows app isn't going to run, and I need OBS on to record my desktop. So I can't do that. But what we can do is load up TC View. So TC View is an app developed by another company for another thermal camera. I can't remember which thermal camera it is. Topdon, that's it. So this is designed for a thermal camera called Topdon. I've never heard of it myself personally, but as you can see here, we actually have a thermal image, because, that's right, it works with this camera. So we can now use a thermal camera on the PC, which I can then use to screen capture on OBS and show my viewers on videos when we're actually using the thermal camera, which is how I get the image up on the screen. I don't have to record the screen on my phone or anything like that. I haven't got the macro lens on, which is why I'm not seeing actual components. And I think this, yeah, this board is shut off as well. So I'm going to turn the board back on. So I've just unplugged it and plugged it back in. Let's see if it boots. Take off the macro lens. Okay, we can see some heat signatures there around BQ, so that means it's charging the battery. So the macro lens is off right now, and now the macro lens is on, and just as clear as on the phone, we can see very high quality, well, in terms of thermal camera standard, very high quality thermal images on the computer as well. And as you can see, we're now getting some heat in that board. Take that off, there we go, and yeah, there we go, beautiful. So you can see I've got the charger plugged in. You can very visibly see everything on that board, and I can show you a lot closer up now, just for context, or just for reference, that we can literally see everything. My hands are a little bit shaky, I haven't eaten yet, but we can very visibly see even text. That is absolutely amazing. Same as the back of the board, if we zoom in on individual components, and you can make them out, which means that you can pinpoint the issue. There's the max IC there, getting nice and toasty. But we can zoom in on individual components, and we can basically pinpoint the exact component which has gone bad. Pretty cool, huh? So yeah, that's my little review of the Infrari P2 Pro thermal camera. just unplug that there. I highly recommend this camera if you're in the market for a new thermal camera, or if you're sick of having low resolution images or something like that. I really do truly recommend the P2 Pro. It's small, it's compact, which I personally am not a fan of because I lose things all the time. It's got the macro lens. I think that comes optional. I think you have to pay a little bit extra for that. The company sent it me as one unit, so I'm not sure, but it did come in 2 boxes. I'm not 100%, but either way, I will leave a link to both the thermal camera and the macro lens, as well as the FLIR One. Make your own mind up. Do you think it's worth it over the FLIR One or over another one of the brands? Because I certainly do, and it is an absolute fantastic addition to my toolkit, especially as a YouTube creator. Before I sweat to death in these gloves, that's going to be it for now. I really appreciate you watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below. I will, like I said, leave links to this as affiliate links, so I will get a little bit of a kickback if you do buy them from my links. It really does help to support the channel, and I really do genuinely appreciate it. If you are new to the channel, like I said, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, that way you don't miss any future videos. That's going to be it for now. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye for now.